Hello and welcome to Simple Life Philosophy. I'm your host, Ed Raby. This is the channel where you follow along on my journey to find a simpler philosophy of life that is both simple to understand and to execute, as well as bringing me about into a time of my life where I'm both productive and have peace of mind. I want to thank everybody for subscribing and subbing and doing all the things that you guys do. In fact, we broke 100 subscribers, so this is the 100 subscriber video in celebration of that. So thank you very much for everybody who's subscribed in recent days, including people that have watched some of the videos on my other channel and seen that I moved, and here they've come over, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Um, Today is Tuesday, so I'm going to normally on Tuesdays engage philosophical questions outside of Stoicism, and stuff that may be still connected to Stoicism, but I'm not dealing with Stoicism proper. Things like essentialism, minimalism, pagan philosophy, uh, anything else that kind of is a philosophical question. And I want to start today with a question that's been on my mind for a couple of months now, and I'm going to bring it to you and see if I can generate some more answers. But the question is our choice of philosophy, the philosophies that we eventually, the life philosophies we eventually choose and practice, is that about rationality in the sense that we think about it logically, reason it through, and then we say, yes, this philosophy makes sense, so therefore I'm going to start to adopt it? Or we simply look at it and go, wow, this works. It practically works, so there must be some rationality to it. Or is there some sort of middle ground or a different way of looking at it completely that I really haven't thought of? As I look at my own journey and as I've struggled for a simple philosophy of life, one of the things that I have noticed in my life is that I'm always looking for something that allows me to move forward with my life a little better. And so when it comes to a philosophy of living, I have noted that sometimes I change it and change it often. And I've often wondered whether this is me being more rational or simply me being more pragmatic. Now, a lot of people say, well, maybe pragmatism and rationality have a lot to do with each other. And maybe that's why I embrace like things like stoicism, essentialism, minimalism, and, and the pagan philosophies that I do follow. To me, they make sense rationally, but they also work. And so to me, is this a question of both or and? And I'm going to kind of take you through some of my journey of how I got to where I am. The initial philosophy that I follow of the four, we're just going to take Stoicism, Essentialism, Minimalism, and Pagan philosophy. Those four, kind of the four pillars of what I do around here. The first one that I ever embraced was minimalism, and I have embraced minimalism for a long, long time. Um, I picked up a book a long time ago called Celebration of Discipline by Richard Foster, and this is back when I was a Christian. And he has a chapter in there on simplicity, okay, and being simple. Learning how to, basically live without. Do I really need this? And so you start to see the beginnings of Stoicism, and Christianity, I think, has a lot of Stoicism in it that Paul particularly borrowed from the Stoics. And so when he took some of that philosophy that was rolling around everywhere and kind of brought it into Christianity, and I think he's the one that's responsible for that for the most part. When you really look at his writings, he seems to be very Stoic. The supposed teachings of Jesus seem to be very Stoic. There's a lot of stoicism in the sense of, be content with what you have. You can't really control things. There's only certain things that you can control. And, in my own view, stoicism was probably there all the time. But minimalism is one I would probably first recognize because after I read that book and a follow up book that he wrote called The Freedom of Simplicity, I realized that in one sense he's still right, that there's a freedom to simplicity, there's a freedom to getting rid of stuff. And from a practical point of view, that's very logical, but it's also rational. And so when we guide this question of our personal philosophies, I mean, right out of the gate, I feel like I was being practical on one hand. I was a minister, I was a Christian, I didn't have a lot of money anyway. And on the other hand, it just made a lot of sense. Why do I want to buy a bunch of stuff to keep up with the Joneses? Why do I need all these things? If these buying all these things don't make me happy, why do I want to pursue them? Okay. And that wasn't a Christian thought. That was a Stoic thought. That was a minimalist thought. And so the more I engaged that question, the more it made rational sense. And practically it worked because I learned that I could live without a great abundance of stuff. And I've learned that several times in my life. I've been homeless at least twice, probably three times. And in every case, I've really minimalized what do I need and got rid of it. And minimalism became a very practical way of dealing with that and engaging that. And so I began to work on that level and that grounds. Okay, so after that happens, um, right after my deconversion, the idea of philosophy, the idea of a necessary philosophy, of a simple philosophy, of having a code of ethics, having a way of doing things, became more and more necessary, apparent. There was a practical need to embrace something that gave me a code, a moral code, and pagan philosophy seemed to answer the bill. I'd always been interested in my heritage, my Scandinavian heritage, the Viking heritage, that I had, the barbarian heritage, if you really want to look at it, because most of my ancestry comes from Scandinavia, Germany, the Netherlands, and the British Isles. Uh, that whole North Sea, I believe, area, and that whole North Sea basin is kind of where my ancestry comes from. And so there's that pagan nine noble virtues kind of thing, and I began to read about pagan religions and things like that, and discovered that within the religion there's a philosophy that doesn't need the religion. Okay, I don't think the nine noble virtues needs the religion of paganism to be good. Okay, that's kind of why, to me, virtue is that thing that builds bridges. Because I can talk to anybody about courage or honor or perseverance or whatever, and regardless of religion, we can have a discussion about the value of that virtue, if you understand me. And so I began to embrace this because I didn't have a moral code from Christianity anymore, and I felt it was important to have a moral code. So that was a practical reason. And then I engaged this philosophy, these nine noble virtues, and rationally began to consider them. Spent a great deal of time writing about them. I'm pretty sure all of that's still on the Gray Wayfarer, my blog. But there was a pragmatic side to it, and there's a rational side to it because they resonated with me rationally, but I practically needed a moral code. Um, Stoicism is probably the most recent edition. Began to read. I began to read Epictetus, probably, and I used to see Marcus Aurelius quotes all the time on Facebook and things like that. And I said, I need an overarching philosophy to tie some of these thoughts together. And as I began to read these guys, they really resonated with me on a rational basis. Well, that seems to make a lot of sense. And it also answered still some fuzzy gray areas of my philosophy and start to put some edges to that. And so Stoicism comes in with, there's a lot of things that aren't within your power. And on a practical side, that was something I needed to hear because I obsess with things. I overthink things all the time. And that thought of there are only so many things under your control, and there's a lot of things outside of your control. You should worry about the things that you can actually control. Really gave me a valve, a switch to kind of say, okay, this is what I can do. And when I start overthinking things, one of the things I'm starting to train my mind to do is, well, can I do anything about it? It becomes a real simple question to ask, and if the answer is no, then why am I obsessing about this? Why am I thinking about this? I can't really do anything about it right now, or I can't do anything about it at all. And so, on a practical side, Stoicism began to give me a tool that allowed me to wade through my overthinking, wade through my stuff, and come out on the other side. At the same time, it's a very rational philosophy that's been a philosophical school for, literally hundreds, if not thousands of years. And when you really begin to look at it, it has a rationality to it, it has a pragmatism to it. Essentialism came into my life as it sounds simpler, but like minimalism is about stuff, okay, and your philosophy of what stuff you have. Essentialism is more about what you do, okay. What is it, the essential thing to do? And so Stoicism allows me to answer the question of what things I can do, things about, and what things I can't. Essentialism helps me kind of walk that path of the practical side of figuring out what I can do about it and what I can't do about it, and learning to focus really hard on what I can do. So as a philosophy, it's very rational because to me, one of the things I notice in a lot of people, and if you're the kind of person that can't say no, essentialism is for you because it'll teach you how to say no. Because one of the great mistakes a lot of people make is they think they're going to be successful by saying yes to everything that their job or whatever wants them to do. The truth of the matter is people respect you more when you set boundaries and you learn to say no. And some of you out there, I love you to death. And I'm saying this with all the love in my heart that I can muster. Okay, guys, if you're one of those kind of people that can't say no, learn how to say no. It is the most important thing you can learn. Learn how to say no, learn how to draw your boundaries. Okay? It's not only beneficial for everybody around you, but actually people will respect you more, and it's beneficial for you because then you can actually focus on things that you need to get done. And so essentialism kind of fulfills that practical, how do I say no? What do I say yes to? Okay, and what do I move forward with? And so as I look at my own journey, it seems to be that these ideas of what's practical, what's rational, kind of weave together. Sometimes it's about rationality, sometimes about pragmatism. And so I ask the question to all of you, what is your philosophy based on? Is it a practical thing? Is it a rational thing? Is it a bit of both, just like mine? I just want to spark your thinking today. I want to, encourage you, um, you know, learn to identify the things that you need to do and focus on them. That's kind of the practical side of the message. But the rational reason for it is there's only one of you. And you really need to embrace your philosophy of a simple life and simplify what you're after. Thanks for stopping by. This has been Simple Life Philosophy with your host, Ed Raby. I've really enjoyed kind of asking this question and kind of sharing the story of the practical and rational sides of how I came to where I'm being again. But it also kind of continues to ask the question, do we do what we do? Are we embracing the simple life because it's practical, because it's rational, or maybe a little bit of both? So thanks for stopping by. Like, share, comment, get notified. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everybody that's helping to build this channel. It's you guys with your likes and your shares and your subscribes, particularly likes and particularly the subscriptions. That helps grow the channel. Thank you very much. And hopefully we'll continue to talk about some of these things in the future. I'm going to be heading, the next video. This is Tuesday's video, so the next video will be a Thursday video, and we'll talk more about the practical sides of things, and we'll see what happens there on Thursday. Once again, thanks for stopping by. Continue to pursue the philosophy of life that best suits you and is also rational. And I'll see you next time, and you have a great